All right, guys, it's like 2 o'clock, so we're going to crank it up. We got to have something to go from one to the next two. There we go. Just so you know, it's coming. I actually had it hooked up today. I got to do some adjustments. I don't know why. When I was doing podcasting, I was able to just plug it in and go, but now it sounds like I'm in a tin can, which isn't the most favorable sound. Welcome, everybody, to Bada Boomer Live. This is the Gaming Workshop. Here, I'll prove it to you. Hey, the Gaming Workshop. I wasn't kidding, guys. How are you doing? Welcome to episode 4. Today we're going to talk about conflict roleplay and villainy. As you know, our guest today is going to be Harvey of the group Dark is Midnight. But before we get there, I got to tell you guys, I love this community. No, for real, we'll go ahead and dial this down. I am excited about today, as I mentioned during the pre-show a little bit, because I am a big fan of villains. And I mean every villain, not every villain, the good villains. Because, you know, there are a lot of crappy villains. A lot of villains that are just there to be somebody for the antagonist to fight, you know, somebody to oppose the antagonist. That's not my favorite idea of a villain. My favorite idea of a villain is a completely separate character who happens to clash with the antagonist. And you find that in shows, in movies and stories and whatnot, when you read the villain or you see the villain and you know that this is something special. Obviously, I could pull him right out of my behind. We'll say Darth Vader, for instance. Excellent villain. Has stood the test of time. Everybody knows who he is. Hannibal Lecter. Not my personal favorite villain, but definitely a good villain because you never really know what he's up to. I mean, it's great. Who else, man? Oh, I'll tell you right now. Jack Torrance. One of my number one favorite villains. This is why you see I have him in a pop figure. I don't have very many of these, by the way, so the ones I have matter to me. I love Jack Torrance. I love the original Shining. Not so much the book. I felt like the book was trying to excuse away the problems of Jack Torrance, where I kind of felt like the movie was more like these things were happening partially because Jack Torrance was so weak. It's really cool. I don't want to get into it. We'll talk about the Shining sometime, well, not on the Gaming Workshop. But my point is that villains are the best because without villains, the heroes would be pretty bored, right? There wouldn't be anything going on. What would we be doing? You know, going around and I don't know, farming for freshies all day. I mean, that's all we'd be doing. But as cool as villains can be, okay, the problem that we have is when we're playing in a competitive type of roleplay environment, which is exactly what DayZ or what Doug is, DayZ Underground. And there are no NPCs. You know, like normally you'll have villains that are NPCs. You'll have big bosses you got to raid up against, you know, and all this stuff. And it's totally different when there are no scripted enemies. So what you have are people, okay, trying to play antagonists for the protagonist. Hopefully I said that right. I kind of think I might have said antagonist a few times when I meant to say protagonist. But anyway, I don't see anybody's busting me too bad on that one just yet. So there you go. Now, just so you know, anybody that throws out karaoke time during the Gaming Workshop, I'm writing it down. I'm going to give it to you another time. I should turn those off during the Gaming Workshop just because, you know, it's not really about me. Yeah, okay, look. Oh, I did it wrong that time. My name is right there. I'm just the host, right? It's actually about, there we go, almost had it. DayZ Underground. And the Gaming Workshop, it's about you guys. And man, I'm going to actually, just so you know, I'm going to have the words to Barbie Girl memorized. This is like the 3rd time. People love to see me sing it. I don't know why. It's probably because I'm so happy. Anyway, sorry guys. But back to villainy in DayZ Underground. It's hard. It's absolutely hard to play a villain because there are so many rules. on this server to try to protect people from being jerks to each other. That's why we have a don't be a jerk rule. And by definition, villains are jerks, right? That's what they do. So how do you balance all of that? How do you balance playing a game, playing an antagonist against a bunch of people that want to kill you all the time? But you got to keep it interesting. You got to keep it exciting. That's what we're going to talk about today, quite a bit. Oh, sorry, Mr. Blue. Sorry, Mr. Blue. It happens, man. It happens. Here, I'll throw you a couple bada booms in there. Trust me, you haven't missed anything except for all the fun stuff that we were doing in the pre-show. We totally missed all of that, and you'll never see it again. Actually, you might not, because I don't really include those. But I think in the presentation that we put on YouTube, but I think that what I'm going to do is cut out some of the pre-show stuffs before and put them together in their own little video so that they could be separate. But I know some people like to hear some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Anyway, so let's see. How are we doing? I think I'm going a little too fast today. We're going to have to slow it down a little bit. No, I'm just fine. Just fine. Let's see. What's going on in Discord, actually? And here we go. Hold on. I should have my Discord open. I don't know who's got their Discord open. Oh, hold on. See, I was going to have this all set up for Seymour, and I did not do that. I told you I was going to do it. I even set an alarm yesterday, Seymour, to remind me to do this, but I was not home when my alarm went off. And so, of course, then I forget. There we go, buddy. I'll get you set up for next time for show. There we go. All right. I don't know how long you've here, hold on. Oh crap. I don't know if I should do this. I guess I'll do this too. Sorry guys. if there we go. Now I don't have to push the talk. If all of this was set up perfectly, like it will be in probably within the next couple of episodes, you guys would just be floored. But right now we get to have fun and laugh about it and everything, so it's all good. Oh my goodness, except the fun. Sorry, Blue. Sorry, buddy. I'm going to reserve some fun just for you next week. Yeah. It's a promise, dude. I got you covered. So no, back to talking about villains. We have with us Harvey. Like I said, Harvey, you ready, buddy?
I think so.
Hey, how you doing, man? Welcome to the gaming workshop.
Yeah, if my boss calls, I have a fire alarm.
Hey, no problem at all. Just let me know, and I could talk about nothing for hours, as most of you guys know. So
As I said, I'm on quote unquote lunch break, so I got time.
there you go. Let me crank you up a little bit. All right, cool, man. Let's see. Yeah, it's as far up as I can get him in Discord. Although,
Give me a sec.
yeah, maybe we'll get this stuff worked out. Maybe one day I'll actually do this stuff during the pre-show. If not, people on watching on YouTube would have nothing to laugh about. They're like, man, see, and this is a reason why you guys should be here. All right, let's see.
Is that any better?
Oh, good Lord. There you go.
Too much.
No, it's perfect. I think that's
all
perfect.
All right.
I can hear you great now, so we're good. All right, I got you cranked up and you're cranked up. So, hey, what's up, Harvey, man? How you been, buddy?
Pretty good. Cold.
Yeah, whereabouts are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Alberta, Canada, so it's about minus 30 today, so happy to be indoors.
That's the hard part for me, for playing with people from all over the world, because I don't get to complain about being cold in our 40-degree weather. You know what I mean? It's kind of silly. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I got frost on my windows right now. It's not good.
Nice. Yeah, that's nothing. It's fantastic trying to go out in the morning, having to scrape off your cars to get anywhere. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for that follow. Hey, so Harvey, man, I gotta ask you, buddy. Was this the first character you've played on Doug when you decided to play a villain? We'll get into that stuff in a minute. I'm just curious. Have you played any other kind of characters before?
This would be my, I guess you'd call it third. The first one was just me running around, goofing around, doing my own thing. And then for a time, I was with the Scribes as a character called Cooper. Um, when I had left them and joined Darkest Midnight, I switched and started playing Harvey.
Nice, nice. So, let me ask you, man, what made you want to play a villain?
Like you said at the beginning, you know, it's fun to be the bad guy sometimes, and you know, it's an interesting role to take on where you know you're kind of the catalyst to a lot of things, and maybe shaking things up from time to time. So it's fun to be in the mix, pretty much everywhere. There's very little that, as far as even like Darkest Midnight goes, that we're not involved in some way, shape, or form.
That is the truth. I can tell you that right now. It doesn't matter. You guys could have absolutely nothing to do with anything, and you're still going to come up at some point.
Oh yeah, it's Red Man bad. Yeah.
Well, you know, that's kind of the blessing and a curse of having been in a group that's been, you know, such a staple for so long in the community.
Mhm.
If I may, real quick, I promised to fangirl gush a little bit about Darkest Midnights. People who hang out in the Golgotha chat already know. I'm absolutely 100% a big fan of everything Darkest Midnight. Everything from the colors to the imagery, the icon, the name, the acronym, the whole thing is just like a beautiful present just waiting to be opened and find a bloody heart inside. I love it. I mean, you're looking at. I mean, remember, I was a brand new player 6 months ago, and when I was looking at the website, I mean, it was like I was reading, and I see, damn, Darkest Midnight, and I'm looking at the picture. I'm reading I'm like, geez, man, these guys are terrifying. Like, it's fantastic. Between that and the carnival picture is fantastic as well. I was like, geez, I don't know if I want to run into either of these guys, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I still remember my first encounter with Dam, where I was just like, I was very intimidated. It was still early. I think I mentioned this last week or not long ago, maybe in a stream, but it was still pretty early for me in the game, and I wasn't really accustomed to role playing yet. And we got robbed. Me and a couple other guys got robbed by Dam. And it was pretty funny. I don't know who it was. Okay. It could have been you for all I know. I have no idea who it was, but I'm playing the Reverend Alessandro. And this is like, as I said, I'm still trying to get a feel for my character. And I'm in Discord with these other guys, you know, and one of them is Robert, Helpful Robert. I'm just going to mention it right now. Everybody knows I used to hang out with him all the time. And he was like, say something. They just want interaction. And I'm like, I'm trying to think of something to say. I'm trying. And then I'm like, you know, the Lord. He's like, don't talk to me about the Lord. I was like, ooh. It was fantastic, man. I'm telling you. And, you know, we all got away with our lives that day. But it's got to be hard for you guys, you know? I mean, we joke around about it a lot. And we know that villains are necessary. Adversaries are necessary. But it must be really hard. Especially as you get to know people like out of character and stuff, then to have to go. I mean, what do you think about that? Or you have anything to say about that? Because it's got to be hard.
It's a mixed bag for sure. I mean, when you meet a random guy on the coast or running around looting, you got a clean slate. But it really comes down to what that interaction's going to be. Are they going to give you something back? Are they going to give you something to work with? Because we thrive on that interaction, that back and forth. And sometimes you get a guy who's just like, nah, just kill me, get it over with, and that's no good for anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you start to know people, I see Blue here in the chat, and he's my boy.
Yeah.
And it's tough to be mean to him because you know he's such a nice dude, out of character and in character for that matter. But you kind of just got to put that to the side and be like, okay, how can I make him feel weird today? Can I scare him a little? I remember he's talking about the therapy sessions here, and he was being a psychiatrist for Iris, and we were out and about. He's with us on a whitelist day, and you know, Iris had to go away for a few minutes. I remember taking him into a house and just being like, you know, if you change anything about her, I'm gonna put you in a box.
That's fantastic.
And I know that he's probably on the other side just killing himself laughing, but you got to be true to the character still.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love it because it gives you something to think about too. Because here he is trying to do something he feels is like positive and good, and you're like, yeah, well, good luck with that. Because if you do it, it's gonna suck.
Exactly. Like there's a whole bunch of other things going on at the time. Like obviously, I don't know what Iris had planned with it or whatever, but
hmm
we're all seeing this guy come here and psychoanalyzing our boss basically, and we're just
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm not too sure about this.
That would
It's
actually
like
be such a great scene, especially looking
I'd
at it
fun.
from your perspective.
Hmm.
Because that's a great way to frame it. That specific scene. Because it's true. Like, how is this guy gonna screw everything up now? Because here he is screwing with our boss. I don't like that. I
It's
think
gonna
that's
get in
really
her
great.
head and make her soft or something. I don't know. We don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody needs that. You know. Especially if you like your boss, because then you're gonna have to oust her then, because you guys are pretty seem pretty cutthroat. But
Yeah, I don't
you
want to
know,
have the cheeseburger. I mean,
there you go. But but so that's cool, man. And I think one of the things that I personally am curious about, because eventually, I mean, I play the Reverend Alessandro, and he's a good guy. He's neutral, but he tries to be a good guy. I'll eventually end up having to play a villain because I want the full experience while I'm here. You know what I mean? And I want to ride all the rides. And I don't know, man. I was trying to think about um, the way we progress our the villain stories and whatnot. Because I'm coming into more contact now in character with villains and villainy type situations. It's situations where I have antagonists now. Alessandro really hasn't had that. I mean, random freshies, whatever, but these are like ongoing stories. And so now, I have to kind of wonder because, we talk about things like not being a jerk, not taking things too far, and I mean, it's no secret that we all push limits when we can, and sometimes we do it without even intending to, especially if we're just all caught up in a story, and I don't know like how much of any incidents has been in character or out of character, but I like to assume that we're all, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. What I'm getting at, okay, and don't let me get this focused here, is where do you draw the line? Like as somebody who plays a villain and an antagonist, when you're running through a scene in your mind, or even when you're talking to like your war boys or other people in your group, where what kind of things do you feel like? Do you like watch for cues, tones of voice, or do you wait for people to just come out and say something? Do you just ignore all of that and just go and deal with the consequences later? What kind of thought process goes into the I kind of guess kind of the OOC aspect of being a villain?
oh boy.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
I
Yeah.
there's a little bit of both. Like sometimes you're just flying by the seat of your pants, and what happens happens. But sometimes, yeah, there are cues. If you're talking to somebody and they're just not really feeling it, they're not giving you much back, then you probably want to dial that down or look for a way out and leave that situation and let them go on their way. Um, as far as like within our group, I think I don't know if we have any limits within the group. I mean, I'll shoot war boys, and we shoot war boys all the time for almost nothing. Phil yesterday threw a flashbang at me, and I shot him twice in the leg, and we're just horsing around all the time. But
Nice.
I try to think. I mean, obviously there's some things that you just don't go to,
Right.
just
Yeah.
for you know courtesy's sake. You don't touch the taboo topics or anything like that. So
Yeah.
there's always that, but yeah, it's really just it comes down to the individual that you're talking to and whether or not they're giving you any positive feedback. If they start getting quiet, then maybe they're talking to somebody on their Discord or who knows. There's a lot of little things that you maybe just even pick up subconsciously, and you have to make it work.
It makes sense. I would think that the example that you used earlier, where somebody's like, "Ah, just get it over with and kill me." something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That's kind of like, yeah, all right, they're not really feeling this, and we'll just do whatever. I
Pretty
do.
much. It's full stop, and I don't. It depends on if it's right away. I might pop them and say, "I'll free
Yeah,
kick them coast.
exactly.
Good
There
luck.
you go. There you go.
Break a leg or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
so
have fun
glad that
with
we can
that.
break legs again.
What's funny is that's been like that. I was reading about that. And I was like, God, man, it's such a crappy griefing thing to do. But honestly, it hasn't happened to me yet. Knock wood, or But I tell you that my biggest fear is like someone's just gonna break my leg and I'm gonna be in the middle of like a plane and they're just gonna leave. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, this sucks. This sucks. But I mean, really,
if we were to do it, we'd probably have a splint and put it 20 feet away from you or something.
we'll see. Now that's fun. But yeah, I mean, I figure if people are gonna be like, honestly, if that's my biggest fear, then I'm doing okay. You know what I'm saying? That's not
Mm-hmm.
really the worst thing that could
Exactly.
happen, so it's all good.
And it's also having people that you could work with. I mean, I don't go out on my own all that often
Mhm.
because a lot of the fun with Dam is the back and forth between our own people in an interaction. I like having a couple people you could throw it to them and be like, "Hey, what do you want to do with these guys?" I don't know. Let's make them sing for their lives. I mean,
That's awesome.
and that could be fun. I mean, I remember once we were in
Yeah.
Natazino, just south of Bearzino, and these two guys were looting around. They were obviously freshies. We're not going to kill them, but we're going to give them a little scare. So we had them come into a kind of a warehouse down on the coast there, and we did Bearzino Idol and pick a song, and one guy was totally off key, and then some other guy came in and he just started singing whatever. It was like, that's not the song, and shot him. These guys,
Oh,
they're
here
playing
we
it. They're playing it off. They're. I keep leaning back. Sorry, Alex. Getting comfortable. My bad.
Hey, man, that's all good. I actually just cranked you up a little bit more. I think this is the most I could do. So without it redlining everywhere, so we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Discord does this for me.
It does, and I've got a few options. I've turned everything up on Discord, and then I've got you in OBS, and I've got the desktop audio cranked up pretty high. So between that,
There we go.
yeah,
I'm a little bit higher too now.
nice. There you go. Let me actually hop up out of my chair. Let me get myself comfortable again. So yeah, so it's like you guys don't have like there's no set limit. Well, I like this, okay, because what you're telling me, because we are on an organic role play server, and so when we're limiting with hard limits the things we can do, obviously there is good taste, right? There are things that can be done in good taste, and there are things that can be done in poor taste. So it sounds like you guys kind of have a good idea, on that kind of thing. I would ask, then along the same lines is, there are things that you guys do to police your own guys, right? Like, I mean, if somebody were to come to you and be like, out of character, and be like, hey, look, man, this guy was like really, he wouldn't listen. He was just being a complete douchebag, whatever. I mean, you guys would, investigate that sort of thing. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. I don't know, because when you're
Yeah.
playing again the villains, it's easy for people to get out of hand and to not even really pay attention to what they're doing.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, if somebody were to come along and be like, this guy was crossing some lines, he was talking about some really messed up shit. I don't know. Is this a family friendly show here? I
Oh, it's all
usually
good.
mix in a lot
It's
more
all-
f bombs,
This is
but
not so bad as well. Don't worry.
if they're just if they go way over the line, then obviously we'd have to sit down and what was said. Is it how bad was it? Is it just an adjustment to say like, hey, maybe go this route instead, or was it really just over the line? In which case, maybe they're just not a good fit.
Yeah, like if it's a real personality issue, or if it's just trying to be edgy and provocative in your role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got you there.
And I mean, I can say I don't think we've ever had that. I think we recruit pretty selectively, and most people work out the kinks in their first couple weeks.
That's good. I mean, because and don't anybody get the wrong idea. Dan will kill you and put you in a box and eat you
Oh,
in
absolutely.
a heartbeat. Yeah. I mean, we're just talking in general, because again, we're all trying to have fun. Even for you got to figure this. Even for the antagonists, the protagonists are kind of like the NPCs in the game, because they're the people that they're interacting with and trying to, and getting conflict with and telling stories with. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. It's just a different, side of the coin, but we're all still coming together to tell these awesome stories.
It's a funny thing though when he's a protagonist and the antagonist. So obviously that's from your perspective,
Right.
but from mine, I'm the protagonist of my story.
Awesome.
All these other people coming up, I need food, I can't find a knife. Those are my antagonists because they're antagonizing me. It's flip side of the same coin, right? Like,
that's a fantastic perspective, man. Thanks for sharing that because it's absolutely true. I mean, you often think, what is it? I think Karate Kid right now is doing the best example of it, or did with Cobra Kai, and I absolutely love those. I know they brought it up in Fanboys, and that show Fanboys. It was pretty funny then. But you watch Karate Kid, and it's like, gosh, what's his name? Johnny is like, the bad guy, but he does such a great job in Cobra Kai, the first season of Cobra Kai, explaining how, in his perspective, he's the protagonist, and the stupid kid that showed up and ruined everything. It's like, oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they even play it off like they portraying Ralph Macchio as kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
When he's older.
They really sold it.
I like that show.
It was fantastic. Man, they did that so well. Which is another good example, by the way, of a villain or antagonist who was actually pretty interesting. There was a lot more depth to him, or at least now than you might have thought at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that.
And when you were starting talking about some of your favorite villains, like I think of. I like the stories where the villain's almost the main character. I think of like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, or
yes,
Alex DeLarge in Clockwork Orange, who is kind of Harvey's inspiration.
I can see that. Actually.
So you're seeing the story through the eyes of a bad guy, and they become the protagonist of the story. That everyone's a hero in their own story in the end.
See, that's great, man. I love that because it does. It really. One of the things I mentioned before is that some of my favorite movies and TV shows are all perspective based. I think I mentioned even as simple as like Three's Company back in the 70s. I think I mentioned that before. Every single joke, just about every single joke on that entire show is based on either perspective or misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and it's like it really kind of nails how easy it is to get caught up in those kinds of things. Being so concerned about how you're looking at something that it's hard to flip it and try to see how someone else sees it. And those are the kinds of things I like. I like stories that make me think. And perspective stories definitely do that. So
for sure,
that's interesting, man. I also like how eager you guys are to get involved. With other, because I think CJ mentioned most recently in the Doug Discord about how there's a sign that's says go away at Gorka. But that doesn't mean that you guys don't want to interact. It doesn't mean that you don't actually want guys, people to come by. It's just it's roleplay. It's our town.
That's our we see it like the equivalent of like don't push the big red button. You're gonna push the big red button, and we expect that. And sometimes it's pretty quiet in Gorka. Maybe the ad campaign's working, but
a little too well. It's
the way it is, but
it's like you got to go out and get your dinner now. You got to go get takeout all the time now.
Damn it.
It's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I haven't seen Gorka since I joined the server, to be honest with you, because I took it. I told you, man, when I first started, I read everything that I could before I was whitelisted, everything that was available, and I was like, all right, so damn, you don't screw with them. You don't screw with them. These guys are okay. Like it's, I had all the, and then what's the best part about it, about playing, and I'll just say as like, having still being relatively new, 6 months, is that when you actually get in game with people and you're actually playing with them, depending on who you interact with and how they come off, it's like, it kind of throws your character for a loop because, depending on what your personal experience is, it may not jive with the rumors and with what the website says because, again, it's all perspective based and it all depends on your personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic, man. It's like there's really been want to say there's really been nothing else as far as video gaming that I've done that's really come quite close to this. It's a really cool concept we're all working on here.
Yeah, like anything can happen, and the first step is diving into it. I mean, when I see people, I'm 99% of the time excited to just run up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Well,
And sometimes it doesn't come back, but
well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna tell this story. I didn't ask permission. I'm not gonna tell you who it was. Look, man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this because you guys are fantastic. I even started the whole thing by saying that, I was completely unnerved just by the imagery and everything of you guys, and then the first
Mhm.
encounter with you, it really, as a person, as a 47-year-old man, I was like, well, let's take a step back and think about this for a minute before we, deal with these guys, okay? So, but I sent you this message. I wanted you to share it with Dam just because I thought it was fantastic. But I'll tell it to everybody without mentioning names. But I was hanging out with somebody and Dam showed up at some point and it kind of bullied the guy I was with to give him his gun. And he was like, yeah, all right. He was like, here. Well, actually, what it was, I'll tell the story right. He goes, hey. He goes, can I have your gun? And the guy I'm with is like, well, no. So the guy's like, pulls his gun out. So can I have your gun? And he's like, okay. And he just gives it, and I'm like, okay. And I'm playing the Reverend, right? So I'm like, I was like, did you really want to give that away, man? Let's talk about this for a minute, and they run off. And then he's like, crap, I really like that gun. And then all of a sudden he sees it laying on the floor. And he's like, oh, he's like, did they drop it? He picks it up. And then I turn around and I see Dam coming back. And the guy's like, hey, he's like, I just wanted to make sure, he found that. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I think he did. I was like, let me ask. And we turn around and the guy's gone. He's poof, vanished. And I'm in Discord with him. And I'm like, dude, I was like, did you get the gun? Is everything cool? I was like, I think they come back to make sure that everything was cool. He was like, running. I was like, what? Running? Where are you running to? I'm in my base. I'm AFK. I'll be back later. I was like, he was scared, and I loved it. I loved it. And like I said, I give him a hard time about it now sometimes. He's like, yeah, I was scared. So what? I was like, right on, man. Right on. Because
I
that's
mean,
what we
that's
want,
exactly.
That's what you want, yeah.
Sometimes you do that. You go up to somebody and like, you know, give me your vest. What are they going to do? They're going to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And if it's yes, then hey, you gotta vest out of it. Or if
Yeah,
it's no, well, maybe it doesn't work out so good, and they're not keeping that vest anyways.
exactly.
That's where the reputation kind of
I'm going to get the
precedes you.
vest. It's either be pristine when I get it or ruined when I get it. But
Yeah,
either way, I'm
exactly.
going to get that vest. I just think it's funny. Like, and I really hope that nobody takes, any negativity in that whatsoever. This is part of the fun. I mean, like, I grew up watching horror films, right? I used to love. My
Mhm.
youngest kid doesn't like these at all, and I don't understand it. I'm like, dude, the adrenaline rush of being scared is fantastic, and then you get the benefit of actually being safe at the same time. Yeah, like what more could you want? But so I enjoy that kind of stuff. And don't get me, man, there are plenty of times. Even again, I'll point it out. I'm 47-year-old man. I'm pretty well grounded in my own, life and my own security. I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? But I do, man. We get into some intense role playing situations, and I get the ice through my veins, and it's just like, and I'm like sitting here thinking, and I'm trying to trying to role play my way out of a situation, and it's just that feeling of never knowing what's going to happen next. And
That's why we do it. That's why we
I
all
don't.
do it.
You may or may not get this very often, but I personally want to thank you guys, and for any other player who plays in an assertive protagonist, we'll call it assertive protagonist
Yeah.
is what the antagonist will be. And I really do appreciate you guys doing it. I mean, again, because as we mentioned, it's hard to do. It can be hard, especially when you know who the other person is. But we still pull it off, right? And even when it comes my way, and I deal with. I mean, because I'm sure there are plenty of people that would kind of feel like the Reverend Alessandro is an antagonist. I mean, for crying out loud, he's running around talking about talking about purgatory and like how we're all just dying and coming back. I mean, that really like flies in the face of a lot of people's beliefs. And so I kind of expected a little blowback from that. And as I go and I role play just that, all right, just that, it kind of it flips people's worlds upside down, and creates turmoil, in the character or whatever. And the next thing you know, I might be considered an antagonist for all I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think there's a lot of in DayZ or DayZ Underground specifically. I think I don't know if there's a line between good and bad all the time. Anyway, like there's just lots of shades of gray, and it all comes down to how you're interacting with the other people and how it goes.
see, I know one day, pretty soon, probably the first Tuesday of March, we're gonna get really into alignment and all of that. But very briefly, that's kind of
Mm.
why I embrace the neutral alignment so much in this setting. I mean, you kind of want to be evil. Like you guys are listed as chaotic evil, okay? And that's good because it's just a general. Most people would consider you guys evil. You guys may not, but most people would. And so that's why you call yourself, chaotic evils. People have a kind of idea what to expect. I'm a little worried. We're going to talk about this in a couple of weeks. I'm a little worried about us kind of overplaying the neutral thing a little bit, just because of the perspective. Like I would question if Damn were to suddenly call itself like chaotic neutral. I'd be like, well, then everybody might as well just be neutral. It kind of defeats its
Yeah.
purpose. So I'm glad you guys don't take that route. Even though
No.
you get to play it that way. It's
I
cool
mean,
that it doesn't.
we do nice things from time to time, but there's always sort of an underlying selfishness behind it. I mean, Dam has always had relatively decent relationships with the community camps on the server, um, whether it's the dugout or the overlook or anything that's coming up. And we'll give them some nails. Maybe we'll help protect them if they're getting raided. But at the end of the day, the reason for that is so that people can survive at these community camps, get some food, go out, find something good, and then we'll take it later.
There you go. See, that's the thing, man. There's no set course of action
No.
for people. I mean, there's just not. You could flip things, twist them so many different ways. This is the reason why I did something good, but I'm evil, and then later it's you prove yourself to be true to who you are. I mean, it's just whatever. But I love it. I love that the uncertainty of it as well, because it's true. You
Mm-hmm.
never really know what you're going to encounter. I talk about this with large groups a lot, because when you have like a really large group, it's hard to make sure everybody is on the same page, and so again, it adds to the mysteriousness of what this encounter is going to bring. Like it would be boring. It would be boring if all I was doing was sitting around tending vegetables all day and just talking, and never really had to look over my shoulder. I love that I'm incredibly nervous. I'm tense and nervous like all the time I play this game. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's like I don't know how my heart can stand it. I mean, I'm on heart pills, so I guess that's it. I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. I'm gonna have to double up on my heart medication to keep playing this game.
I don't know
Oh,
that
well, let's do
Dan
it.
could survive on another server where there's more strict RP rules and like no kill on sight, or where
No,
you have to
yeah.
like announce your intentions all the time. And I think that would take away a lot of, not so much the fun behind it, but certainly the tension.
hmm Now that's something that we do make jokes about. There are actual servers where you would have to ask permission to rob somebody before you did so, and then they would have to
Yeah,
agree. At the
it
same
just
time,
seems so robotic.
yeah,
Do I have permission to rob you now, sir?
I know I couldn't do it, but to each his own. You know what I'm saying? To each his own.
Yeah,
There are people that don't enjoy conflict at all, and that's probably where it comes from. They just want to tell stories, and that's cool. It's just
yeah.
like on the opposite side, people don't want to talk it. I just want to shoot everything that I see. There are plenty of room for that. It's just not how we do things on the regular here. I think that's
Yeah.
probably a good way to describe it, because we do allow all play styles, and anybody can play however you want. It's just that it's not going to be the commonplace thing, because it's really up for the community to decide, and how we all act as a whole.
Mhm.
And there are times for that. There are certainly times for it. It's just like if every encounter was awful, then yeah, like you've said, nobody would, people would want to stop playing, and that's not what anybody wants.
Yeah, or to
And
stop interacting, and you get more of the people who are like, "Oh, just kill me and get it over with." I mean,
yeah,
thankfully, it's
yeah.
very far and few between. I mean, maybe 1 in 10.
That's pretty cool. I mean, really, I would think the only time I would really ever feel that way is if I just was like in a hurry. But then again, why would I play if
Yeah,
I
or
was going to be in a hurry? I mean,
just having a bad day or something, or you got
well,
killed six times and
yeah, that's fair.
you're just
That's
not
fair.
feeling it.
I've had my 6 hour excursions from the coast before where I just get nowhere. That has happened, and that is frustrating. But then
Yeah.
again, it's a part of the game. I kind of feel like this game has helped me out. Playing here has helped me out quite a bit with my expectations and being able to lose and all that. I mean, I'm as competitive as a lot of other people. I just you just learn pretty quickly not to take it to heart, and the people that do don't last, unfortunately. And I already know a couple, and
That's
it's
a
like
big part of it. Yeah,
we
absolutely.
gotta try to keep it together, man. Hey, what's up, Cappy? How you doing, buddy? Excuse me. We're hanging out with the DayZ Underground community today. We're talking about villainy, playing villains, and because in DayZ we are all each other's NPCs. We're talking with Harvey. Harvey, you're currently the leader of Dam, right? Now that
Uh,
because
yeah,
Iris is technically the leader, right? And then she stepped away, or am I? Because I don't know for sure.
yeah. She's on kind of an extended hiatus for lots of reasons.
I got you. So Harvey is heading up one of the most antagonist, or well-known antagonist, I think, on the damn server, or damn server. Look at that. You've already taken over, Doug, man. I just handed it to you. I was like,
It's
we're on the
all
damn server.
damn.
It's all damn. We're screwed.
Always
No,
was.
that's right. But no, on the Doug server, it's a faction called Damn. They're antagonists mainly. Unless you're one of them, then you're the protagonist, as we've covered. But anyway, I like this, man.
You make a good point though. Like it's
Excuse me.
being the bad guy. It comes with the territory. People, you're going to get those people that think that you're a jerk in game, therefore you must be a jerk outside of the game. A lot of people have trouble separating those in character actions with the out of character side of things.
I'm really glad you brought that up because that is the inverse of what we were talking about earlier, isn't it? Whereas we were worried about how you handle dealing with people that are friends, but yeah, that's another end of it, man. I haven't even thought of that. I mean, what kind of hardships do you guys deal with? Especially with that when people think that you're just a jerk because that's how you play.
I mean, I don't know if I see it all the time because the side effect of that is that people won't talk or they won't reach out. They just kind of, close up their bubble and, just form their opinion and away they go.
That's actually a shame, but it's also the way things work
It
pretty
is.
much in real life too. I mean, most of the times people complain. There's actually a much larger portion of people who are not complaining. Who just walk away.
Yeah. That's why we keep it going. I get the DMs from people saying, that was a great interaction. I had a lot of fun. But you're telling me your story, and I think what was it, Mr. Fish.
Yeah, James Fish.
See, that's a situation where it's kind of like, okay, are we being jerks? It's maybe a little bit too much, but we met him again the other day actually, and he was upset because I think I took his Mosin and threw it in the forest, and he wanted one back, so we gave him another one. Actually, we took it from another guy and then gave it to him.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome. Took it from someone else to give to him. That's cool. James Fish is a buddy of mine. He's a member of the Alessandro's flock, sort of. And so I get to hear all these stories. I love James. He's one of those people that always finds himself in trouble. You have no idea. By the time he's met you, he's already gotten into and out of like 3 other scrapes. Like, I mean, it's really funny.
No.
I love this guy. He's fantastic. He comes back with the best stories
It was a good
because
sport.
he puts himself out there more than most of us. So
Absolutely.
he really goes through the meat grinder like all the time, and so. And he's excitable. So I'm like, dude, he's having such a good time is the main thing. I like to make sure that you guys know that. It was funny though. He keeps. I mean, I don't know what we could how long ago things were, so I guess we won't get into specifics. But it's just he's funny. I like him a lot. So I don't think you guys are in any danger of chasing him off. So don't worry about that.
He was a good sport.
He's a
I,
good sport.
I like to
Yes.
think that he knew what was going on and he just went along with it anyways. We all had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how it is. Oh my goodness. Let's see. We'll check chat. If anybody has any questions or comments for Harvey, feel free to throw them in chat. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Cause see, I've come from the advantage point of loving villains and already, having like my. I was trying to think of what other people might want to ask you, but I came up with some, but I don't think that I've gotten them all. So really, if anybody has anything to say, or if you have any comments about playing a villain or being a villain or any of that, man, toss them in the chat because I remember Kate mentioned last week, I think, when we were talking about NC OC interactions and whatnot. She was talking about how like only one time. Like apparently people have had problems with her, but only one time has anybody had the cojones to actually contact her out of character and mention it and kind of work through it. And like she said, she realized that yeah, she was actually being kind of a jerk then and dialed it back. But I would like to stress that to anybody who is unfamiliar with this type of play or any of that, to remember that we're all just people playing characters. We're all trying to tell stories, and more than anything, we're all trying to have fun. And if we didn't have any antagonists, if we didn't have any conflict whatsoever, then this game would be very boring. There wouldn't even be much of a game. It would just be, I don't know, a life simulator maybe, like The Sims or something. That's
Yeah,
not what we're going for
exactly.
here. That's not what we're going for here.
You,
So,
you need to have conflict, otherwise it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, you take any writing workshop or something, it's going to be what does your story revolve around? Well, you've got your first act, but at the end of that, there needs to be some kind of conflict, whether it's personal or external. We try to be that external antagonist to what's going on and just shake things up. Maybe start something up, or maybe something needs to be kicked in the pants, and that's what we're looking for.
yeah. I mean, see, look, there she is right there. Say people need to DM people more. I agree. I mean, that's why, for instance, I wanted to write to you, Harvey, and have you
Hmm.
pass that because I know I wrote you a nice DM to pass it around to other members because I want them to know, that they're doing a good job because there are times when like I'm role playing, right, and I think it went okay. Like I'm really critical of myself and everything that I do. I hate watching these as much as everybody likes them because I'm like hypercritical of myself on like everything. And I feel that way in the role play as well when I'm role playing with somebody and I feel like God, I could have done it so much better or I second guess myself and whatnot. And so when somebody comes along later and they're like, dude, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm like, wow, really? Like, oh, I'm glad, because you never know how somebody else is going to take it. And I guess I just wanted to put that out there because it's
It's feedback,
give
right? Like,
feedback.
again, we were playing character. I like to think that we're all acting in the same movie, kind of thing, and
Hmm.
that end product is what people experience either side of the screen, and you're working together to make that as good as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, our goal is to have fun, right? But we're not going to have fun if the other people we're interacting with aren't having fun. And at least that's how I look at it. So
Yeah,
I try
maybe
to,
not
yeah.
even at that moment, but certainly it's cumulative. You find a month, 2 months from now, nobody wants to talk to you anymore. Well, what did you do to get to that point?
Well, I think it goes back to playing pretty much any game. Because if you're playing with somebody and you're constantly kicking the crap out of them, are they going to want to keep playing with you? I mean, even Dead by Daylight, I play that game and I play the killer in it, and I do really well with a couple of them to where I'll destroy a team. But once I realize that I've dominated the map, like I could win this at any moment, I tend to dial it back a little bit to try to give them a chance or whatever, not to where it's like I'm dragging it out and holding the game hostage and trying to be toxic, but enough to where it's like I'm hoping that everybody is having a good time, I guess. And I'm always thinking about that. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because we all want to have a good time. um Mr. Blue's got a question for you, Harvey. He says in the chat, do
I'm
you have any
seeing that.
problems with wanting to do something OOC in game, but are unable to do it because it wouldn't make sense for your character in roleplay.
Most definitely. I think the Glovo Bash is one example. Like the moment Dan shows up to something, everyone kind of gets their backs up a little bit, and there's times where, yeah, we'll make a decision OOC to stay away from something just to say, okay, they can just have their fun. Um, and we're not gonna rock the boat or anything like that or cause a situation because you never know what's gonna come back as well. I think one case where we went to Bill's birthday. That was out west, and that's during the middle of everything that's going on right now too, with the
Mm-hmm.
East versus West, and that was, yeah, I'd say risky, but at the same time, it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sometimes we had a good relationship with Bill Man in Tights, great guy. Um, so it made sense in a way that we'd want to be there, and maybe even throw the flag up and strut a little bit. That's part of it for sure. But there's always times where you're kind of thinking, I'm losing my train of thought here. Am I going to do something that's going to affect the person behind the screen? Do I want to do that? Am I feeling it? What are they thinking at the time as well? What have they been going through lately? Especially when it comes to like a hostile action. Like it might make sense for me to go to some place and just shoot it up and start yelling, but if I know that they've had a few incidents already, then I might tame that response or just leave it be for now.
See, I really like the way that you've approached all of this question. In fact, because at first, the first thing that stuck in my mind was when you were saying, well, when Dam shows up, everybody gets their backs up. So maybe we'll sit this one out so that they can have their moment in the spotlight. See, I like that you're cognizant of that because it carries a lot of responsibility being the bad guy, especially being so well known. And it takes a lot of character, of personal out of character. I'm talking about the player Harvey, to say something like that and be like, no, I'm going to sit this one out just because I don't want to end up being a disruption, even though I'm just there. And the other thing that really stuck out to me is taking into consideration the person behind the screen, which is not something that we're always able to do because we don't know what's going on with everybody, all the time. And you don't know that James Fish has had like, four other encounters earlier in the day, and so now you're throwing another one at him, just as an example. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's really cool to me that being an experienced villain, because that's what that tells me is that you're experienced at playing a villain, and being able to take those kinds of things into consideration. Because personally, we talked about this a little bit last week as well with the metagaming thing. And there's a flip side to it. It's like you don't want to take OOC information and use it in character. But again, if you have some OOC information to where something you're going to do might, really ruin everybody else's time, then maybe this just isn't the time to do that. Like you could still, like, there are a lot of things, I think about story all the time. Like it's ridiculous. It's almost compulsive for me now. And I would like to say I've got at least three contingencies most of the time because of the fluid nature of organic role play, never really knowing what's going to happen next. All you can do is kind of plan for the what is it? Plan for the best, hope for the best, and plan for the worst. I guess um, is kind of how I play, and yeah, so I got to take a lot of things into consideration, and there are things that I want to do now that because of other people's role play and other people's things they've got going on, I really can't. I could go and be like, "Oh, I'm the Reverend Alessandro, and what I say is important," or I could dial it back and be like, "Well, you know what? I'll put this on the back burner, and then if opportunity arises, then we'll pull that back up and put it into play, and see how it goes." And I kind of feel that's something that like a good villain really has to do, especially when you're juggling multiple storylines. Do you find it difficult to juggle storylines like this, or when you're being a villain specifically, and you've got your own plans or whatnot. Other people have their. I mean, how easy is it to coordinate the things that you want to do and stories you want to progress, knowing that other people have their own thing going as well?
Um, I don't think we have too much difficulty with it. We talk a lot amongst ourselves, and everybody kind of knows someone that knows what's going on. And yeah, as far as like in characters things, we keep a lot of records on things that we find, both for covering our own ass, but also so that we all kind of know what's going on in the larger picture. I think as far as stories go, we're generally on top of what's going on at any given time. Maybe some little things here and there that go on the wayside, but I think we're pretty solid.
That's good, man. I mean, because it's hard. It's hard for someone like me who oh, it didn't give me my Discord, my kick there. Oh well. My Nightbot didn't pop up. Anyway, I have a lot of problems with it, like I said myself, because here I am. I was trying to do all these different things with the gaming workshop, and then I was like, oh, I can incorporate this in character, and so I started to try to put a faction together or a group together. Excuse me, to try to make myself more available to help people that need it. At the same time, I'm juggling storylines and all of this stuff, and so other things come along. I can't even say for sure. There it is. It was a little late. I can't even say for sure. If the Reverend's gonna be running a church in Cherno in 2 months. You know what I mean, or in a month. I mean, you never really know what's gonna happen in this game. So I think that it's important for people to try to remember that, especially when you're storytelling in an antagonistic situations where other players are playing the NPCs and whatnot, is that part of it all in the organic aspect is rolling with the punches, being able to have contingencies for different plans that you may have so that you're not caught flat footed when someone else's storyline happens to stampede over yours, which is going to happen, because I've seen people, and I'm actually kind of curious what you think of this. I've seen people talk about how they would maybe like to have where everybody like sends admins, like a list of things. Well, we're planning on doing these antagonistic things here, and we're going to raid this, and we're going to do this. Um, as an excessive, I feel it's excessive CYA, right? But I'm kind of curious if you think that there's any room for anything like that where people get together, or do you even feel like it's necessary for people to really go over like an overview of the storyline that they're planning to do to try to get them to mesh? Or do you think things are fine the way they are?
Uh, I think on maybe even a small scale collaboration is useful, just so that maybe not. I don't like the idea of outlining goals or scripting anything out, like such and such a thing's going to happen this time, and then it's going to move on to this stage. I think you do have to be adaptive. You have to think on your feet, and sometimes things don't go your way. And it takes maturity to understand that, and to move forward and not take it personally, because sometimes it's bad. Sometimes things just up and screw you. I mean,
Well, it may be somebody
you know,
completely unrelated shows up and throws a monkey wrench into your plans.
exactly. You
Yeah.
don't know who's watching. You don't know who's paying attention.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
We have the server has 75 players on it sometimes, and it's probably 4 times as many that are active at any given time. But you don't know who's noticed or heard something or passed it on to somebody else who maybe has an issue with what you're doing or knows somebody else who does. Or somebody thinks that you might have something that they could use or that they maybe could help you, and what comes along with that. Like it's fluid. The relationships on Doug are mercurial. I mean, they flip back and forth all the time, and you just have to be flexible. Any kind of rigid outline, I think, uh, goes out the window. I was thinking of there's a show recently, City on a Hill, with Kevin Bacon as a kind of a dirty cop, and there's a line in that that really stuck with me. Um, everybody goes back to that. Everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story, and you may have all these things, but thought out like what you're going to do and how it's supposed to be. But life has a completely different design, and life doesn't care what you want.
See, that's beautiful because it's absolutely true in real life. And I know that we have a lot of young people. We have a lot of older people who have, and even young people, there are young people who have really experienced life a bit more than they should have. Um, but just to point that out, because there are a lot of people who haven't really been out there and experienced a lot of life yet. Life is exactly like that. And that's one of the reasons why I like the way Doug runs. Because, we're supposed to be a hardcore role play server, but in a lot of ways, it does mirror real life, and especially like the way even the out of character stuff. It's like in any community, you've got people you're gonna have conflict with. You've got to find a way to come to common ground and work through your problems and all that. We experience all of that, the whole thing in Doug. It's really it's kind of fascinating, really. If I was a sociology guy, I would probably find this all amazing and stuff. But yeah, don't worry, Blue. I do not advocate more work for the admin team, to be honest with you. I'm in that camp. I think you guys have plenty to do as it is. I like the administrators administering the server. I don't like them having to referee us as much. I would like for the community to be able to referee and manage itself in that regard and let you guys deal with all the crap that we really can't. And I think that's part of the what we're trying to do here on the gaming workshop, and the kind of thing that I think Buck had in mind when he started the community meetings. Which again, we've got another community meeting coming up on the official Doug Discord this Saturday, February 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to mention that because the more people who show up, the better it is for everyone. I like doing this. I like that people like to watch it and everything else. But and anybody can come on and we can talk and your voice can be heard. But I feel like the community meetings are completely a completely different animal. Where we can specifically talk about very specific issues and bring up specific things. Because you'll notice here, like we're talking a lot of generalities. I've mentioned a couple things. I don't mention names. There's a lot of things going on right now. You mentioned this war with the East and the West, and we're all anybody who's involved with any of these groups is somehow involved with that, whether you know it or not. I'm actually just starting to get caught up on it. I didn't even know there was a war. But then again, I play the Reverend Alessandro, and he's trying to bring people together. So he's not even he's like, man, everybody's fighting, everything's dangerous. I don't know what y'all talking about. He's
Yeah.
like, we're always at war with something, man. That's crazy.
I'm just looking at the chat. Urban Cry is Tedic there, and
Oh sure.
so as part of that, like we
Oh yeah.
we we ended up raiding Vigil, and what came from that was great. That's an instance of a bad action leading to a whole string of great RP and interaction, and there needs to be more of that. Like when we take an antagonistic in character action, a lot of times people are just internalizing that and thinking, oh, what a bunch of jerks. Why would they do this? Why would they do that? And then they never really progressing anything in game. Like we do in game actions, expecting in game responses, whether that's a hostile response in return or some sort of conversation or just something, something in game. We're just shaking that can of rocks around. That's what we're here for.
See, I like this. I like Tedek's reply here. Very classy raid. It's how a raid should be done. And that's coming from somebody that you guys, attacked. So to have
Yeah,
somebody come back and be like, "Nah, man, that was really well done." I mean, this is a big reason why I wanted to have you on the show, to be honest with you, because I really feel like you guys have a handle on this, and having seen it firsthand, having seen some of the reactions, knowing how I feel, and I'm just like, man, like these guys are tight. I mean, and nobody's perfect, right? I mean, everybody's, we all make mistakes and have our hard times and whatnot, but I personally,
Absolutely.
again,
We've
really
made tons of
appreciate,
mistakes.
oh,
We've been around for 5 years. I've only been in Dam to like what's the date today? The 9th. A little under a year now. And
nice.
there's been times where you take it too far. Maybe you're retaliating for something, or maybe something creeps in your head where it's like, I'm just gonna do this extra little bit, and maybe that pushes it over the edge. But as you say, there's ways to do it right. There's ways to do it wrong. Some people insist on doing it wrong, and it makes people upset.
Well,
We're not here to make anyone upset.
yeah, you're here to add that extra spice, I would imagine,
Mhm.
to what would normally otherwise be a really bland experience. Again, I mean, if we didn't have conflict, there would be nothing really interesting, long-term interest going on. I liked how you mentioned, if you're talking about story composition and whatnot, a lot of people, even writers who have taught themselves may not necessarily have that mindset. I think I'll mention it maybe this weekend when we talk, if I can show up for the meeting this weekend. We're talking about story development and all of that, but I always like to start with a premise, which is essentially a question, which is gets answered throughout the story. But again, most of the time, that answer isn't just cut and dry. It's not like, well, here's the question, well, here's the answer. Okay, well, that was a 2-second story. You're answering the question through the trials and tribulations of the characters in the stories, and that all comes from conflict. You just can't. I just don't know. I mean, everything would just be so boring. It's like, some people
People sitting around campfire RPing, and that's probably the worst case scenario. But yeah.
some people talk about heaven. I liked, I'm a Christian, so you guys have to bear with me on this, but I liked Piers Anthony. I've read Incarnations of Immortality a couple of times. Fantastic series. It kind of takes these aspects of our world and puts them it puts them in a perspective of if it were a business, like death and war and fate. All of these are positions that people hold. It's a really interesting concept. And one of them, I think the last book, they talk about somebody serving as the role of God, and the entire premise, I think, of like the description of heaven is like, what a boring place it must be, where all of your needs are met. Anything you could possibly want is there. You're just completely happy all the time. And trying to think about that from a human perspective, where we really don't have that, that we don't have that experience. There's always conflict or whatever. It seems like that's something we would want, a utopian where everything would just be nice and great. But when you think about it from our human perspective, it's like, yeah, but wouldn't that get boring after a while?
Exactly. It's like where the adage "careful what you wish for" comes from, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
if
absolutely.
you don't have to go anywhere, or think about the movie Wall-E.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Wally is
spaceship where all
fantastic.
your needs are taken care of, and what is it? It ends up being
Yeah.
just a ship full of fat people floating around on little chairs,
Yep.
like Christopher Pike or something. But
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the Christopher Pike reference, by the way. That was fantastic.
hey, man, it's the Boomer Show right
I
now.
love it, dude. I love it, dude. Oh my goodness. All right, man. Anybody else have anything else that they want to throw at Harvey? This is your chance, man. This is like a completely. If you wanted to talk to Harvey from Damn, this is the chance, because you're not going to get shot. You're not. You're
maybe,
just not going to
maybe,
get shot right now.
maybe later.
Maybe later, but not right now. You're good right now. This is the opportunity. Man, so do you guys, yeah, let me ask you this. How many times would you say, like, what like a percentage base, would you say you guys get in trouble for something in character that you had nothing to do with? I'm just curious. Like,
Oh boy,
I knew that.
a lot, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
the saying is red man bad, and anytime someone does something wearing a red motorcycle helmet, it's almost immediately it must be damn, and you're putting out fires often.
I see that pretty often, to be honest with you. And it's true, because I mean, look, man, there's only so many colors that you can wear in this game, by the way.
Mhm.
I just want to say that. There are only so
And
many
red and
options
black is a
that you
cool
have.
combo too, you know.
It really is. I mean, it is pretty sweet. Obviously, I'm a little partial to orange and black, but even I would have to be careful walking around dressed in orange and black, right?
Yeah,
I'm
for
either going to
sure.
be military or a cult. I don't know which one. We'll find out.
Yeah, I think
But,
there's
you know,
a video. I won't say who, but there was a fella. Well, the admin Pity was happened to be dressed with some red on one day up in the north, and this video he gets shot, and they start calling out, Pity's a damn man, Pity's a damn man. And like, just because he has a red backpack doesn't make him damn.
man, I tell you.
I don't know if they're just joking or whatever, but
That's
it's
got to
it
be
is
real.
interesting. Anytime red equals dead.
I love
It's a
that.
it's a dangerous color to wear on Doug for sure.
It really is, man. Well, you guys have claimed it, but I love it. I love how people always say, "Well, nobody owns a color," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you get shot for wearing it, no matter who owns it, you know."
I try to wear as much red as I
Right,
can,
you know.
tastefully.
I love it. I actually got robbed by a war boy not too long ago. It was hilarious, by the way. I'm gonna mention this. I was coming back. It was like a really long day. Fortunately, I had lots of good stuff. Like I had like a full bag of canned food. It was crazy, all the stuff that kind of stuff I was finding. And it was funny. I saw him off in the we're running through Cherno, and I saw him off in the distance, and I was like, I don't feel like interacting so much. I'm gonna kind of slip away. And I didn't realize, obviously, saw him all dressed in red, and I actually even thought about it. It just didn't click. I thought about it. I was like, man, he looks really cool. He just had like a red flannel, and it's like he's color coordinated. I like that. It's hard to do that. Didn't even think about it. And I'm running off. He must have heard me. The next thing I know, I hear footsteps behind me, and I turn around, and he's just standing there, and he's like, hey. I was like, oh, hey. And he pulls out a taser, gets me with it. I was like, damn it. And then I was knocked out, right? So what's he do? He comes over and he ties me up, and I'm like, okay, fine. And so he's talking to me, yeah, he's like, well, I'm a war boy. And I'm like, well, I ain't in war with nobody, man. So, you got the wrong guy, that kind of thing or whatever. And so he takes a few things and he lets me go. And I love this, by the way. He didn't even take all the canned food I had. He didn't even take all of anything that I had. He took some of everything, which was fine. Took my revolver, and I didn't even care about that. All right, that was fine. What upset me? This was funny. It upset me even in character. I said it in character. He took my gloves, and they weren't even pristine. They were damaged. I was like, you took my gloves. I'm yelling at. I'm like, what kind of monster takes a man's gloves? Damn. it was just so random seeming to me, and it was just funny as hell. And I loved it. It was such a short little thing that it stuck with me. What kind of monster
Yeah,
takes a man's gloves, man?
interactions don't have to be long. Just something, leave something for them.
Yeah, I'd like to think that he heard me and chuckled on his way off, by the way, but I don't know.
Oh, more than
I don't
likely.
know. I mean, that's it, man. It's all about having fun, man. I mean, I tell you, I like it too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get killed all the time. It happens. So it's not such a big deal to me anymore. But I like that, people. I like that people. At least established people. People trying to make something on this community. Really try to think about each other when we can. And again, I want to
Yeah,
caution everybody to remember that, sometimes, we all get caught up in the heat of the moment. We're all caught up in this thing. And sometimes, it gets away from us. I like to say that when I started the Reverend Alessandro, I had his background down, and I had a very basic idea of what kind of person he would be. And then as he's been in the game and he's had all these things hit him and affect him, oh man, here we go. Thank you so much, Francis Christian, man. I really appreciate it. We when we're out there doing our thing, we have to be willing to roll with the punches. We have to be willing to accept that things are not going to go the way that we planned. And to have people who are good with villainy, being able to really pull off this thing is so vital. And I mean, again, I can't thank you guys enough, man. Thank you very much for taking on the role and the responsibilities that come along with it. And I'm hoping that maybe a conversation like this will help others, maybe not be so afraid to interact, maybe not be so afraid to, maybe pick up a red bandana, or you know what I mean, like just to be willing to be an antagonist, but not take it too far. And I don't want people to feel like, oh, well, if I go out and I cause trouble, then I'm just going to get ticketed right and left. Maybe you will. I don't know. Actually, we might talk about that next week with Rufus when we talk to the Advents. But um, try not to worry about that so much, I would say, and just do your best to follow the server rules and to have fun, because we need villains. We need you guys. And if everybody's getting scared off, we're scared to interact with you guys. You guys are scared to do anything because you might get in trouble. Then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to tell any of these great stories that we're all enjoying so much.
Yeah, villains are people too, guys.
That's right, villains.
Like
Wreck-It
Ralph, right?
That one I'll take. Yes. Well, I'm telling you right now, some of these Pixar cartoons are very prophetic, because there's also I like Syndrome a lot.
Yep.
When everybody's special, no one will be. Truer words may never have been spoken. That's absolutely a fact, by the way. And I love it.
I always think about, you sly dog, you caught me monologuing. I don't talk too much because of that.
That happens to me, dude, when I'm streaming. Oh my lord. Someone will come out of nowhere, and I'm all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, sorry, wrong button, all this stuff, because I'm just going. I'm not even thinking. But it's funny. You caught me monologuing. Yeah, don't wear a cape either.
No cape.
I have not looked at a cape the same way since I saw The Incredibles. Like, seriously, it totally changed my perspective on capes. I'm not a cape guy anymore.
Oh, don't wear a backpack either.
Curiously, do you believe that superheroes wear costumes or uniforms?
Ooh, I don't think I've ever thought about that.
It's a good one, isn't it? It's a good one.
It depends what generation we're talking about.
Yep.
Like if we're talking Adam West, I'd call that a costume.
Hey, that's fair. Oh, look at this hype train we got going. That's fantastic.
I think the current day. Yeah, I think current day would be a uniform. I think because it's more the identity.
I happen to agree. That's a very enlightened perspective, to be honest with you. Because everybody wants to argue. Usually, when you ask that question, people want to argue their preference. Like I'm partial to uniform and costume, but that actually makes a lot of sense because it's true. I would definitely consider Adam West, Batman, to be a costume hero, whereas I might think the Dark Knight might be more of a uniform. It's just the way it strikes
it's
me.
a tool of the trade. It's more utilitarian, and they explain why he's got the armor and all that stuff.
Exactly, it's more than a belt. It's more than a belt.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
More than a batarang or bat shark repellent.
Yes, we're gonna keep this hype train going, man. Hype. That's funny. I've seen them, but I've never had one before. So everybody aboard. Yeah, we're gonna party. Thank you guys.
Popping off.
Seriously. No, I can't thank this community enough. Let me go ahead and say real quick that, by the way, thanks to you guys, last week I hit a milestone in my streaming career here, as illustrious as it is, where I'll go ahead and say we're actually hit $100 in revenue. Now, for those who don't know, when you're a Twitch affiliate, you can't actually withdraw any of the money you get until you hit 100. And 100 to me, it's like it's really nice. If I did withdraw it, it would have paid for my camera. We'll start with that. But I just want to thank you guys, because it's not about the money as it is about the support. You know what I'm saying? I can't thank you guys enough for showing all the support that you have and really helping to push this. It's definitely going to keep me doing this in particular, the DayZ Underground stuff. But I just love doing this job, and the way you guys support it just shows that maybe I should be doing it. We'll see how it goes over the next year and whatnot. But it's always nice to hit a milestone or hit a goal. And I don't put it all on the screen. I'm not like, oh, we got to get another $50, everybody. Come on, give me your money. Because that's not, really how I promote myself. It's not really how I go. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just here to have fun and to entertain and, provide a service. And just the fact that you guys appreciate that, it means the world to me. And that's all straight up honest from my heart to yours. It really is. I really, really appreciate the support, guys. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Hey, this is a good thing you're doing.
Well, thank you, man. I mean, and again, like I said, I mean, I'm not anything special. If it wasn't for this community, if it wasn't for people like you, Harvey, and people in my chat, and people who, everybody who's come before and everyone who will come later, is really what it's all about. It's really not about me. I saw a niche, I saw a need, something that I thought, maybe I could help. Because what are you going to do, man? I think we're going to talk about this in a couple of weeks. But when the community is just, what are you going to do? You can throw your hands up in despair as well and just let it fall. Or you can say, you know what? There's enough of us here saying the same things. Maybe we should work together, and try to make sure that, there's something tomorrow, And I would hate to see that. This server has been around for 6 years. I mentioned that before. That is no small feat. No small feat.
OG server.
I mean,
first private, I think.
Guys, look. We have an amazing opportunity playing on this server. I'm not even gonna BS you with this, because how many games have you played where you're like, oh, I really don't like this. I don't like how this runs. I don't like how the community is. And so you go and you get on like their message boards or whatever, their forums or whatever, and you're voicing all your opinion. And what are you getting? A bunch of crap thrown at you. And you're talking to people that you'll never hear back from usually. Developers never respond to you. And now here, granted, we have a development team that's not really Doug. It's DayZ, right? Behavior Interactive, right? No, that's yeah. These guys. Wait, who runs this? Behavior Interactive, right? No, or is that Dead by Daylight? I can forget. I don't even care. I'll just tell you this.
Bohemia.
Bohemian. That's it. The thing of it is that here we have the hands-on team. We should be thankful for it, first of all, because otherwise we could just be everything could just be thrown to the wind, and it's whatever happens. I feel like we should be thankful because we have people that we can actually go to try to, help make our immediate environment better. And really, if you haven't noticed, all right, the end of last year, a lot of people were having a lot of problems with the way the community was acting. Here we are almost 2 months later with a lot of people paying a lot of attention to what's going on and trying to work. It's not me, man. It's not me, and it's not Buck. It's all of you. You know what I'm saying? It's all of you who are making these positive changes in the community, and I love it. I appreciate it, and it makes all of this worthwhile. Harvey needs an ear emote. Absolutely, that would be so rad.
Or top hat.
Man, I'm telling you, or a top hat. You wear a top hat. I bet it was you.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it was you. I bet you are the guy that robbed us that day because he wore a top hat. I don't know how many of you guys wear top hats.
Just me.
Nice. It was you. It was so you.
I don't know.
I love it.
I don't go to Cherno very often.
No. This was at the end of September. This was when I was still
a while ago.
Svet. Yeah. We were walking back from the dugout back to Svet is what it was. And it was late when I remember this now. No, it's not like that. But it was hilarious, man. Yeah.
It might
It was totally you. I was all like,
Were you guys on the rail?
We were
on Blackwater.
You guys were hiding. Yes. You know.
I know it.
That was my first big encounter, man, with you guys. I was scared shitless. I was like, oh, I want to say something profound and awesome. I'm like, and Robert's like, interact. They want to interact.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, I remember it now. You went off about the Lord and like, I don't care about the Lord. Keep that to yourself.
Yeah. And I was like, oh. That's fantastic. 5 months later, guys, here we are. This goes to show, man. You never know. You never know how things will pan out, man. It's super fun. But
that was a good one.
It's great that you remember it now, and we figured out it was in fact you. Because I'm like, I didn't know who anybody was. That was awesome, dude. All right, let me see. What are we doing here? It's 3:24. If you don't mind, I'm gonna run upstairs real quick and take just a super quick break. You guys can just hang out and chat for a second. I'll be right back. Harvey, you got a few more minutes, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
I'm ignoring work.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. We don't want you to be bored at work, dude. I'll be right back, everybody. All right. Hello, everybody. We're back. I'm back. You guys have been here the whole time. Oh, let's see. What have I missed?
They wanted me to sing. I didn't think I'd inflict that on your people.
That's nice. Yeah, if you want Harvey to sing, you have to capture him.
You're gonna have to throw some subs
There
to
you
Bada's
go.
way here.
I am not above pimping my friends out for money. You better believe it. I mean, come on, man. I went out and bought an orange cup, for crying out loud, to go with the show. So we're all in, man. We're all in.
We got a
Boomer
theme.
Mm-hmm. We'll do whatever it takes. Oh, I'm just kidding. Oh, I see. Oh, I was just reading. Yeah, I can kind of answer Blue's question. Yeah, someone inspired by. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I know who you're talking about though.
And Bobby Beausoleil, yeah.
Beausoleil. Yeah, there you go. From the Manson clan, who wore a top hat. That's pretty cool. I mean, look, man, we find inspiration wherever we can. When I come up with characters and whatnot, I try not to directly, borrow too much from any particular source, but it does happen. Oh, thank you, Aiden. Let's see, right? Yes. Oh no, it was gifts. Thank you very much. I love it. I've always got to check, man. This is all pretty new to me, man. I've had people tell me they appreciate the things that I do often, but rarely do you get like immediate feedback like you can when you're streaming live. It's pretty cool. I like, would recommend it for that. It's a blessing and a curse, just like everything. It seems almost anything that's good has a downside to it, but I'll take it.
It's that positive feedback right away is nice.
Yeah, see, they're trying to get you to sing, man. That's what it is.
No.
I think we're half of the group probably wants you to sing. The other half knows better.
I think,
half knows
I think
better.
CJ's heard it before. I don't.
That may be it.
Come on, I have an image to maintain here.
Boomer and Harvey Boomer, yeah. That's it, man. He's got a reputation to maintain, y'all. Oh my goodness. I could do it though. I just can't. I don't want to sing during this particular show because I'm afraid that I'll get like a DMCA strike or whatever it is. I forgot.
Oh yeah, strike. Those are dangerous.
That's the only thing. I'll do it during my regular stream. I don't care because I could make these. I could do these on any platform. You know what I mean? We could get together. We could do this on Discord for all it matters. We'll get the show done regardless. But I don't want to taint the show. I don't want to taint the show. I don't think it would serve as like he got banned on Twitch. Everybody, we got to watch this show. I think they'd be like, who the hell was that? I haven't even heard of that dude. And that'd be the end of the Yeah, I'm not Dr. Disrespect or anything. And thank goodness. I'd actually thought about it. I kind of liked his shtick there for a minute. It kind of reminded me of wrestling. He's like a wrestling character.
Yeah, he's a persona for sure.
Yeah. People got to get that. I decided I just wanted to be. I wanted to be myself. I don't care. I could do whatever. I had somebody tell me I was trying to be like this other guy, Stream Dad. Well, first of all, let me tell you that if you're doing something and you don't have anybody that you look up to, then who do you have to gauge yourself against and build yourself up? So I've got a few people that I watch that I do like a lot, but I don't try to imitate like anybody. I try to just be myself, and we'll come out here. I grew up in the 80s, man. Mike Murr of like Suicidal Tendencies and all that. A lot of people, Axl Rose wore bandana. Everybody wore bandana. Anybody was cool was wearing a bandana in the 80s. And if you weren't wearing a bandana, then you weren't cool. So I don't care, man. I wore bandanas most of my life. I will tell you that suspenders are new for me, though. But that's just because of the lovely pear shape I've developed over my life. Apparently, if you haven't nurtured a pear shape throughout your life, but sooner or later it's gonna hit you. But it all just kind of came together. I don't know. You guys have anything else? For Harvey or me or each other even in the chat. We've got time to kill now. I kind of feel like we hit everything. That was probably a poor choice of words with Harvey in chat. We'll see you later. But anyway, question for Harvey. Yes, Mr. Blue. You have the microphone, sort of. You have the keyboard.
If we missed any?
I don't know. Oh, here's another one too. Hold on.
Oh, Warboy Wednesday.
What's Warboy Wednesday?
So Warboy Wednesday was when we kind of have like an open invitation for people to come and just hang out, run around as Warboys, and kind of get a condensed damn experience. I don't know, Blue. It might not be on Wednesdays if we do. Unfortunately, I find Whitelist is a little quiet. And I think you end up just kind of running around a lot, and you don't see a whole lot. It's always in the back of the mind.
That's awesome. I was actually going to mention, if you ever need a red shirt, dude, I have an alternate account. Just let me know. But it would have to be on non-whitelist days. Because my alternate account's not whitelisted. My alternate account doesn't really understand the server rules too well. So we're going to give him like another month. And then I think maybe by then my alternate account will really understand what Doug is about and be able to be whitelisted.
Yeah. you gotta wait that cool down.
We gotta have fun with it. I haven't been around long enough. And it's fair. You never know, man. You never know. Like I said, something might happen. Right now I'm a good fit. You never know. Somebody might piss me off next week, and the next thing you know, I want to take it out on everybody, and I won't be a good fit anymore. So we'll have to see. I'm still in my probationary period. I think that's fine though. I like the way a lot of that stuff works out. But again, not to cut Harvey short, but just remember while people are still here that next week we're going to have our Admin Spectacular starring Rufus. Yes, Admin Rufus is going to be here to answer all of my questions, not yours. Although you can join our Discord and leave questions there or send me a direct message with your question. And anything that we can fit in towards the end will definitely fit in. And then that way you guys can ask your questions.
I feel like I should be back for that one.
That's a pretty good plug, right?
Talk to the admins a lot.
Some of us do a little more than we should probably. Actually, I do okay. I don't think I've gotten into too much trouble yet, but you never know. You never know. I'm out there planting my vegetables, man. It's real controversial sometimes.
Just when Blue comes along and deletes some walls on me.
Oh, I love that. I love that when I'm like, crap, I built this wall. I can't take the gate off this wall here. Let me ticket it. And then the next thing you know, I've got everybody from the block around going, where did my walls go? And I'm like, oh, sorry. My bad. I needed help. And I like that. They're like, wait a minute, that doesn't work, and so they'll go and do their thing. And then you're like, it's all my fault. Well, that's okay.
I'm sure it's a constant cleanup. We've seen some stuff.
Dude, there was one time I went to go, and I'm sure this happens a lot. I went to go put a fence line down, and it vanished on me. And then one day when I was logging in from a fresh reboot, I could actually see that it not only was in the wall, but it was like way up above where I could have possibly put it. And I was like, well, I guess that's where it'll be. And then I assume an admin took care of it at one point. Probably answering another ticket, But yeah, some of the things that I know we'll talk about tickets a little bit, but we're going to talk about what it's like to be an admin. It's going to be an expose on the life of an admin. A day in the life of an admin. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be informative. I got to ask all kinds of questions, and they're all going to get answered. So it's going to be awesome. And you guys know, especially with the way I got into Harvey a little bit. I don't know. I kind of, anybody can ever feel free. If I ask you a question, especially when we're live, feel free to say no comment, because, I mean, there are some things that we just can't talk about, especially if it happens to be an ongoing thing, or maybe there's something going on that I don't know is ongoing and I mention it. Don't ever be afraid, to say, no, I can't talk about it right now because we got this thing going on. I should probably stop earthquaking my house here. I want everybody to be comfortable and to have fun all the way through, whether we're talking out of character or whether we're playing in game, But it's got to be rough. I'm glad. I will say this again about the villainy thing, though, before we're done. I'm glad that you don't let it hold you back too much. The things that we were talking about, where we're worried about people, whether or not they want to deal with a bad situation, because I mean, come on, man, this is a game, and whether or not you want to deal with a bad situation, we need them, so it's just so many levels. On so many levels, I respect and thank the people that are willing to play antagonistic roleplay, because it's hard. And conflict roleplay, we got into that some. Oh man, thank you, Blue, for coming in. Yeah, man, you asked some great questions, dude. Hey, wait a minute, there was another question. Oh, I know what it was. It was how do you rank Vriska on a scale of villainy? Where was that?
How do I rank Vriska?
Yeah, somebody wanted to know, and so I'm curious. I don't know. This might be one of those no comment things.
I don't know. What scale are we using here? I mean, 1 to 10, or
That's why I'm trying to find the question again. But I was like, I don't know. It's such a good question. Oh my goodness, I might have made it up too. And if I made it up, well then, I don't even know. Let's see. Maybe I did. No. Here we go. Oh yeah, Vriska's the one who asked. Yeah, Harvey, on a scale of bad guys, where would you put me? That's what he said.
Okay, well, I'm going to make up my own scale for this one.
There you go. The bad guy scale. Come on. What do you think?
From like Goldfinger at the low end to Norman Bates at the high end, he is firmly a Nurse Ratched.
That's fantastic. I kind of feel like
You
that's
can leave it to interpretation there.
I kind of feel like that's a little above maybe Lizzie Borden, but a little below Charles Manson. So I think that's a pretty good scale. I like that.
He's not quite Gordon Gekko, but
Yeah,
he's up there.
Gordon Gekko, baby.
Here we
That's
go. We're just
awesome.
gonna name all the movies that nobody's heard
I
of.
love it. I love it. Yeah, man. I'll tell you, when I thought about starting off the monologue, I was like, oh, I got to list all the villains, and I was like, man, we only have like 2 hours. It would be hard for me to list off all my favorite villains. So I was like, I'll just touch on a couple. Had to mention Jack Torrance, though. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good choice.
The Shining. The Shining is by far my favorite horror film, and a lot of people don't understand it. But I got to tell you, I'll tell you right now, the reason for it is because of how semi plausible some of that stuff is. Like when you're talking about like alcoholism and the way it messes with your mind and things like that, it's a big theme in the book as well, but in the movie. And to me, it's like that's like the most horrifying thing. I like horror that's fun. I grew up watching Freddy and Jason and all that, and that's fun. But I like horror that really like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I think the one from I think it was in early 2000s. It's
Mm.
freaking terrifying. I mean, because that could happen. That could happen. You know what I mean? It's like hills have eyes. Could happen.
Yeah,
It's like
that's a good one.
I'm not so worried about Pinhead, but yeah, some freak in the middle of nowhere. That's more scary. So
Yeah, where that line of the suspension of disbelief takes over.
there you go.
I,
Yeah.
I
See.
like I like the thriller kinds, like Max Cady and Cape Fear kind of thing.
Oh, Cape Fear. That movie is good. That movie is good.
You'll find me cribbing a lot of lines from that in my Harvey escapades.
It's actually funny you mentioned Taxi Driver because there are so many times I'm walking around talking about the mean streets of Cherno, and every once in a while, a rain just needs to come and wash away all the filth off the streets.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just so natural. It's such a natural thing to say. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. I love a villain that
Cat.
somehow twists you into being both afraid and empathizing with them. Yes. And then you're like, wait, this person's horrible. Why do I empathize? Am I screwed up? Yes. Oh, I love it. I mean, that's such really good storytelling right there. Is when you can empathize with the villain. You know why they're doing the things they do, and it's like, man, you just wish you could maybe just reach out and just give them a hug. Give them that hug that they need. Maybe if somebody had done that and just patted them on the back a little bit, maybe they wouldn't be out there hacking people up with hatchets right now. But anyway, while they are, I'm just going to enjoy.
Just needs a friend.
That's it. That's it. Just needs a friend. I mean, you can imagine. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I was gonna say Freddy, but no, Freddy had too many friends. That was part of his problem.
For the youngins, I think probably a good
Yeah.
example recently.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
was like
talk about
Thanos in Infinity War. Like there's a villain that you could empathize with because
Actually,
he
yeah.
thinks he's doing what needs to be done what's right, but obviously at great cost to not just everyone but even himself.
That's a perfect example. And I'm sorry if you haven't seen Infinity War, then that's your fault by now. But I would say, like, when he loses one of his daughters, you could really see the pain and anguish in his eyes, even though you know how that goes down. I mean, I believe it. I believe it hurt him to do that. And I believe that he did it anyway because he was doing it for the greater good.
Great modern day villain.
That's why you got to love the greater good. I mean, because it's a perfect justification for damn near anything that you want to do. It's just awful, man. It's rough. It's rough, and I love it. I love stories, man. This is why I love stories, man. People are like, I just want to shoot people, but man, you're missing out. I mean, that's fun, but you're missing out on so many other opportunities when you ignore the potential for story.
Yeah, and just having fun with a character. I mean, funny enough, when you're talking about bandanas, I was thinking at the same time, like PID, like how you look and how you portray yourself in the game goes a long way with your character as well. Like Mr. Blue talking about, the way I look. I mean, to me, to most people, I mean, they might think, oh, this guy looks like a goofball. or some people might think, "Damn, this guy looks kind of cool." The point is, they're seeing you and they're having a feeling about it. That's the first thing that they interact with is how you appear.
That's fantastic. That's a great way to look at it too. Because it is. It doesn't really matter what their reaction is. It's just that you're hitting them somewhere,
Yeah,
and it gets the ball rolling if nothing else too. I can't tell you. It's kind of like when I saw that one guy, when I saw that war boy all dressed in red, I was like, man, my first reaction was, wow, he looks good. Like that was, I was like, man, he managed to coordinate his outfit right on. I can't do that to save my life. And then I found out why, and I was like, eh. But before that, I was like, yeah, that's really rad. That was weird. That was my first reaction. It didn't even occur to me. It's all red. It's not even just like a bandana. It's like all red.
head to
It's,
toe. Yeah.
I should know. I should know. I should know a little better. I did have the appropriate response though.
Yeah,
It's
like
this right
Cat
here.
saying
Oh,
here,
here
where
we go.
you
Oh
are
my,
kind of unbound as a villain to go where you want with it.
that's true too. There's a lot of freedom in being a villain, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with responsibility, of course.
Excuse me. I will tell you though, not to toot my own horn, but that is one thing that I do like about the life after purgatory story that I started telling, because it gives my character an opportunity that he might not have normally had to be a little more, I don't know, ballsy than he would have been, because he has this perspective that when he dies he's going to come back. So, or chances are he's going to come back, and if he doesn't, then finally, is how he looks at it. Finally, I don't have to come back. But he looks at it like he's coming back. Whether or not that's true is just his perspective, right? But it's a plot device in a way that gives me the freedom to act a little bit more boldly than my character normally would, because if he was worried about his mortal self and all of that, then he would be a little more reserved. But it was interesting because
The Groundhog Day effect.
it is, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be like a free pass to where I could just do whatever I want. So then we added in the thing where it's like each time you come back a little less, and
Ah,
eventually
yeah.
there's nothing left. So I still have that need to preserve my own life, but at the same time he might be a little more willing to, you know, to deal with confrontations that come. It's just it's a plot device to give me a little more freedom as well without having to to be a villain. But it just kind of made me think of that when we were talking about the freedom that
Hmm.
villains have. Well, there are other ways too, that we can give ourselves that freedom in role play.
Sure.
But
And it's also accepting the consequences that come from that stuff. Like if like there's always, I think you guys touched about it last time, was like permitting. Like how do you kill your character? And some people, not to criticize or anything, but they'll have like convoluted rules about, I need, and the moon has to be in the third phase and Uranus has to be in retrograde or something
yeah, yeah,
before I'll kill my character. But
yeah.
as a bad guy, I think you have to take on, if you're going to act the way you are, you also have to take that responsibility back. And like, okay, if where's the end of the road, and you have to be very strict about that with yourself. Like if Harvey gets caught and shot in the back of the head, he's got to deal with that consequences, because everything leading up to that point has led to that.
hmm It's interesting
So
because
you have
it's
to give that resolution to the people too.
in that regard, it comes back to being like real life, isn't it? Because
Hmm.
most of the situations that we find ourselves in, you could, if you were to be honest with yourself, you could track it back to future or earlier decisions, that we made, whether or not we, we have the hindsight, the benefit of hindsight now. But I am very keen at the hindsight thing. I mean, I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, but it's not so hard for me to track back, difficulties that I've had to find out where I went wrong. it's not so hard, if you're willing to be introspective. But I love it in this case because it's an instance where art imitates life, and if you look at it that way, um, in a lot of ways you can grow as a person, role playing and doing these kinds of things, which is one of the things that I really like about it as well. You get to learn a lot about yourself when you really think about, because you sit down and you think about these characters and how you're going to interact with other people and all that, and you start to think about things. Well, he's this way because this and this and this happened. And then if you ever start to think about yourself, you start to track it back that way as well. You're like, wow, well, maybe I'm like this because of this, this, and this, and you learn about yourself. I think I learned about myself, and that's why I can't really see not doing this, or at least playing these games, or whatever, investigating stories and asking questions and then trying to find the answer to them. And it's actually fun to do it in a situation like this because again, it's like you have a safety net, you're not actually getting shot. But you can experiment with different ideas and see the way people take them. I don't know. I think role playing is a great social experiment, really, when you get down to it. But I always wonder about people who are playing. Since we still have a couple more minutes, I always wonder about people who, whether or not they're playing villains for the right reasons. And I say that as a I can't even think of the word now, but a little arrogant, I guess, because it's like, there's a right way and a wrong way. But it's like really, sometimes people play things because it's who they really feel like they are deep down, and they can't act it out in the real world. And so they take on these persona that's more like their true selves in a video game, whereas other people will do it to progress a story just because it's fun and all of that. And I think that's okay as well. But I think that might be the kind of people that you run into that might tend to take things a little too far, if they're kind of doing it for a more personal satisfaction reason than a storytelling one. I don't think I actually have a question involved with that. It's just one of those things that I've thought about.
Yeah, I mean, some people are just jerks. It's a fact of life. Mm-hmm. So it comes down to what's the bulk of their work, where what have they done to that point where you can decide, like, are they actually doing something to better things? Maybe it's not immediately apparent. You have a fish fry of 30 people all having a good time and you blow it up. I mean, some people might see that as a jerk move, but you look what comes from that afterwards and look how people respond to it, and especially the people who perpetrated something like that. What are they doing with it? Are they just, sitting back and chuckling to themselves, or are they taking that next step? Or if the consequences come back, how are they dealing with that as well?
It really comes down to back to why KOS is allowed on this server, I would think. I mean, aside from we don't want to control people and whatnot, but one person's KOS is another person's roleplay, Mm-hmm. I mean, just because somebody else is just like, oh, I just got off of Call of Duty, I'm going to come in here and just shoot people. That still affects your story. And if you're a keen role player, you'll roll with those punches and you'll come up with, you'll accept it as role play, even if it wasn't intended that way. You won't know that. Mm-hmm. And you just roll with it and stuff.
Yeah, they might be role playing that they're, a crazy person hunting humans. You might never meet them or anything like that, but
yeah, I kind of feel a need to point that out. I think I've pointed it out on every gaming workshop so far. I really do, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on at any given time, and if you start taking everything that happens to you personally, you're not going to have fun.
No, you're not going to have a good time.
You just got to take it in. Maybe have a little bit of self-awareness, like, okay, what did I do? Maybe. Maybe I shouldn't just be running through the middle of a street with a flare in the middle of the night.
Yeah, right. It's funny because I was just talking about how you can always usually trace a mistake back to some poor decision that we made. That's a very simple one. You know what I'm saying? I remember
what Kat's saying here. It takes that maturity to look at it from both sides, but also rather than just projecting it onto everybody else, looking at, what are you doing, and not to like, pass the buck or whatever, but like how did it get to that point in your own story?
Hmm. Hey, I'll tell you, even with the simple example that you just threw out about running down the middle of the street with a flare in your hand in the middle of the night, wondering why you just got shot. I Another quick anecdote. When I first started playing this game, my very first character, I actually started writing a story about this, which I'm incorporating into something else. I'm going to use it because I put a lot of work into it and I like it. But what the way I played when I first started, okay? Because again, like I said, I wasn't very familiar with DayZ a lot, and I definitely wasn't familiar with Doug. I just knew that anything could happen at any time, and so I was kind of on my guard. But I spawned in Svet the very first time, and I spawned near the docks and stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but there's trains and all this stuff. Anyway, when I came in, the first thing I did was look around. I was like, I had no idea where I was. I didn't know the map that well. And I was like, oh, there's a train. I ran my guy over there, and he crouched down. And then he's creeping along, and then he stands up and he leans and he peeks inside the trail car. There's nothing in there. Okay, down he ducks and he runs around. I was literally playing like this for like 3 days, and he was sneaking around and he's peeking around a corner. Every single corner I was like peeking around unless I was getting chased, which did happen. I got chased by infected, and I run into a building, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I gonna do now? And it's like it was like a really immersive experience. And I finally got away from them, and I snuck into town, and I'm running from alley to alley, and I'm creeping around corners, all this stuff. I don't advise playing that way all the time. It'll take you like 20 hours to get across town that way. But it was super fun and super exciting, the first few times that I was playing. And it was because I was thinking about it like that. I didn't want to be the guy running down the middle of the street with a flare in my hand. Hey, everybody, here I am. When it's a dangerous world we're living in, And it was really fun. I kind of wish I could go back and relive some of those first days of uncertainty and not knowing, but it's just life. We learn things and progress. And we figure out, how things go, and it gets easier. But
Sure.
I loved those first few days. I loved it. That's when I met Toronto. That was cool. That was a lot of lore all at once. And me not really knowing a lot of people.
He's an encyclopedia right there.
I love that guy. Oh man. Oh my goodness. But I love a lot of you guys. I've had so much fun being.
He's an example of a great Doug role player, because he will just roll with the bunches. I mean, when we blew up the fish fry, that was in his house, and he just went with it. He started taking on this like weird Phantom of the Opera persona, where his like face was scarred, and I mean that's the way to do it.
Nice. I will tell you, Kat.
That goes back.
The
in-game responses to in-game actions. That's mad respect for that.
Well, even let me tell you, because when I met Toronto, okay, he was probably the first real in-character that I met and actually got to know for any length of time, and only interacted with him for maybe 5 minutes. I mean, literally, we met at the church in Svet. We talked for a little while. I was in character. He was in character. I got a lot out of that encounter. And then, something came out. There were some guys that showed up, so we split and went our own way. I have not interacted with Toronto until the other day, again, in like 5 months. But that encounter has stuck with me and has been a shining example, I would say, of the way that I want to have people encounter me. When they encounter the Reverend Alessandro, I want them to feel like they've had a full and rich encounter, even if it's only been a couple of minutes, because that experience really set the stage for me in all of this. So, yeah, I was very fortunate. And then I was fortunate again to run into Robert, who is, I can't tell you enough, is an incredibly great person to have teach you how to play this game. Because, again, I mean, I wasn't even like, I didn't even know how to make a hand drill. When I met Robert, and we hit it off real well. It was just a personal OOC thing. We hit it off real well, but he was really instrumental in helping me get my bearings. And then Toronto was like the first really in character thing. And then there was it was with you, Harvey, which is fantastic.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad I know it was you. I'm glad I know it was you now, because it's cool, man. I mean, it stuck with me all these months, man. I mean, there's not a lot that has. I mean, I run into people all the time, living on the coast, man, in Cherno. We're always running into people. But there was a certain things that really stuck with me. So I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys, all of you, Kat. I appreciate Dan, everything that you guys do for helping to keep the game entertaining and interesting, and all the other villains out there, the ones I've met, ones I haven't, ones I've met and don't even know about it yet. Hats off to you guys. Thank you very much, because again, man, without you guys putting yourselves out there and being willing to risk yourselves too, because again, people take things the wrong way. I'm sure that we all get reported way more often than we even realize, but villains certainly stand a big risk of it. And if people were afraid of everything being taken the wrong way, we wouldn't have villains, man. And I just it wouldn't be the same without you guys. So
hey, we're happy to do it.
We're happy to do it. I know, man. Yeah, we'll be happy to cut you up. No problem. But anyway, man, yeah, it's 4:00, dude. Anything else you wanna throw out there?
No, again, thanks for doing this. Yeah, it's good to get some different perspectives on things. I think it's what we're needing is understanding between all the groups and people, and yeah,
we're all just people trying to have fun, man. That's
exactly
what it comes down to it. That's all it is, man. We're just trying to have fun. We need each other to do that. We need each other. We can't do it alone, man. If I could, then I'd still be a teenager in high school, but we won't go there. Guys, look, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. I really appreciate everybody for coming. Harvey, thank you so much for coming and spending the time with us and help us understand the villain role a little more. Again, guys, I'm gonna run this out. Kat, I'm so happy to hear that. Kat's happy. I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to close for today. I wanted everybody to know that we're going to be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Bada Boomer Live. Do not forget, please don't forget to join the community meeting this weekend, February 13th, Saturday at 3 p.m. I arranged it with my wife. I'm taking Sunday off because it's Valentine's Day. I got to work. I see you can make a trade with your significant other if you need to in order to make it to this meeting. Make it to the meeting. It's really good for all of us to come together out of character and take all these hard feelings that we get from in game and toss them aside and remember that we're real people and that we're all working together to try to make this a fun environment. Again, thanks to everybody who supports the show and is a support of all the things that I do. I do it because of you guys, and I love it. So I'm going to try to keep it going. But anyway, thanks again, Harvey. Everybody else, we'll just see you. There it is.
See you out there.
That's right. We'll see you. If
you see someone wearing a lot of red, try talking to them first. You might have a good time.
Come to Gorka. Everybody's welcome to Gorka.
No, stay out of Gorka.
All right, man. We'll see you guys later.